The lake stretched before us, black and endless, its surface broken only by the gentle ripples of the wind. It was past midnight, and the world had fallen into a deep, suffocating silence. Miguel and I had been fishing since sundown, sitting on the edge of the wooden dock, drinking beers and trading stories, the way we had done since we were kids. But that night, something felt wrong. The air was too still, the water too calm. I could feel it. Something watching, something waiting. Miguel was the first to notice the fog creeping over the lake. It slithered across the water's surface like a living thing, curling in delicate tendrils, swallowing the shore inch by inch. The moon, once bright, dimmed behind the thickening mist, casting everything in an eerie half-light. Then we heard it, a sound so faint, so delicate, we barely registered it at first, a woman sobbing. It floated over the water, carried by the wind, distant but growing closer. Miguel said, "You hear that? Probably just the wind." But it wasn't the wind. The crying grew louder. My stomach twisted, a cold sweat breaking out across my back. The sobs weren't random, not like the erratic noises of an animal or shifting waves. They were measured, rhythmic, like something was calling out. And then I saw her, a woman standing knee-deep in the lake. Her white dress billowed around her legs, the fabric darkened by water, clinging to her body like a second skin. Her hair, long, black, dripping, hung over her face, obscuring her features. She stood perfectly still, her arms limp at her sides. I couldn't move. Miguel finally noticed my silence and followed my gaze. What the hell? The woman rocked slightly back and forth, her hands trembling at her sides. Then she let out a sob, a low, hollow wail, so filled with sorrow and rage it made my blood curdle. Miguel stood up too fast, knocking over his beer, the can clattering against the wood. The sound echoed across the water. And then she moved. Her head snapped toward us, her hair peeling away from her face in clumps of dripping strands. Her eyes were black pits, empty and glistening like wet stones, her mouth too wide, her lips stretching impossibly far, twisted into a silent scream. Then she lunged forward. The water exploded around her, surging toward us with impossible force. Miguel shoved me backward, sending me sprawling across the dock as she came closer. Too fast. The moment my hands hit the wood, the temperature plummeted. The dock beneath me was suddenly soaked, as if it had been submerged for hours. I scrambled to my feet, heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. Miguel was frozen, staring at the woman as she dragged herself closer, her mouth unhinging, a sickening, gurgling sound escaping her throat. I grabbed his arm and pulled, nearly ripping him off his feet. We bolted toward the shore, our boots slamming against the wood, the planks groaning beneath us. But the crying didn't stop. It grew louder, echoing, surrounding us. I risked a glance over my shoulder. She was on the dock, crawling, her arms too long, her fingers too sharp, her eyes locked on us. We reached the truck. I fumbled for the keys, my hands shaking so hard I could barely get them into the ignition. The headlights flared to life. For a split second, I thought we were safe. Then, a hand slammed against Miguel's window, pale, soaking wet, fingers too thin, too long. The sobbing was right there. I turned. She was standing outside my door. Her mouth moved, but the words weren't words. They were water, spilling out, pouring from her lips, flooding down her chin, dripping onto the glass. Then she screamed. The sound shattered through me, my vision blurring as I hit the gas. The truck lurched forward, the tires spinning in the wet dirt before catching, and then silence. We didn't stop driving, didn't speak, didn't breathe until we saw the lights of the town in the distance. Only then did I dare to glance in the mirror. The lake was far behind us. The mist had receded. But there on the back window, streaked in dripping lines of water, a handprint. Miguel never spoke about that night again. But sometimes late at night when I'm alone, I hear it. A woman crying, soft, faint, like she's calling me back to the water. And I know if I ever go back, she'll be waiting.